And Ruben, he didn't even have the backing of the bishops because he's an SSPX priest,
right,
which even shows how much courage he has, having virtually no backup, standing alone by himself in California amidst this giant called Gavin Newsom and the Democrat war machine. He didn't even have what you could say, like, the backing of all the bishops and all the diocese and chancery office, which even shows that this priest has more courage than I even thought.
Yeah, Jess, so what we're going to hear is his sermon on the 19th Sunday after Pentecost, as that was this past Sunday, and it's just heartwarming. It had me in tears because I know him personally, and he's a great leader, a great shepherd, and
well, let's put it on. I want to hear it.
We're going to hear one segment, and then we'll talk about it, and second segment we'll play a little bit more and talk about it.
This modern world that we live in is very tiring, the body and the soul. Very, very tiring. There's a purpose for that. You see, if a man is underfed, malnourished in body, and underprayed, or formed in his soul, so malnourished in his soul, it's hard for him to think of God. It's hard for him to get ahead enough to think about anything outside of himself, anything outside of his own well-being. And so he tends to think, what am I going to get next? What next job do I need? What money am I bringing in? What's my wife need? What do my children need? He's thinking always on these material things and physical things. And so his mind, you would hope by a very spiritual soul that his mind would refer often to God. But that's often not the case. What I find often not the case. He's so distracted by the things of this life, the material aspects of life, that God is secondary. Very secondary. And he ends up being the secondary man of faith, and his wife can even surpass him because she is focused more on the domestic life, the centrality of the family. Because I think you figured out by now the simplicity of the family as an organism, the family as a unit, is where God does his work. And yet that's exactly what the devil wants us to get out of. He wants the man to be out of the family. He wants the family to be away from each other. He wants the wife to always be away and busy. You see where simplicity just went out the window. What is so simple in a family by a leader and a man of authority and a woman of compassion and love is gone. And this family suffers, the children suffer, and all of society suffers. And I see this repeatedly, and again, I focus more on the husband and wife, but it's true for single individuals. It's true for priests. So easy to become just an activist. It's very easy to become so concerned about the physical and material that God is getting second place or even third place. We need to be simple. And what I'm realizing as time goes on, as the world becomes more and more crazy, is we need to become more like monks. And I don't mean we live in a monastery. The more that the world pushes you away from God, you need to push back the other way. You have to be strongly pushing back the other way. Your prayer life has to be incredible. You have to be pushing for that. I mean, it's going to be a fight and it's a struggle. But if you don't, you'll be overwhelmed.
Okay, that's the first part. He's going to really start talking about his his journey and what a lot of priests go through because they have so much pressure on him. He just so you know, he runs the priory in Arcadia, so he has a couple priests under him. He's the pastor, and one is an elderly priest who has a ton of medical problems, so he cares for him. And then he makes sure that the different chapels they have in California are being manned. And sometimes he has to fill in and drive out to, whether it be San Pedro or, or Colton or Bakersfield or whatnot. So a lot of pressure and a lot of new people are coming to the chapel because
and that's as a result of what Pope Francis has done, Ruben. I'll be honest with you. And I knew that was going to happen because lay Catholics, they don't want to get into the weeds of what happened here and what happened with Marcel Lefebvre and what, in 1980. Catholics just want to receive the Eucharist, get to heaven, and be holy. They don't want to get into all the details and minutia. And all they see is a priest of the Most High God preaching the truth, giving a reverent mass, and Pope Francis pricked their curiosity by basically his contempt for the Latin Mass. And so people are saying, what is it that Pope Francis doesn't want us to see? And so they go to a chapel like this with the SSPX, which, by the way, they're not in schism. Pope Benedict has said that.
And so Pope Francis also just said it.
Yeah, the last two popes have said it. And so, that's an internecine squabble between siblings. Let the church figure that out. Jesus is going to bring resolution to this. And we'll decide who was right and who was wrong. Christ will let us know. But the fact is, Ruben, people want homilies like this because this inspires courage.
All right, Jesus 911. We're going to pick up the second part on the other side of the break. If you want to hear this, Jesus 911. I've been giving you a sermon on what guys and what we have to do to push back on this world and fight for our families, fight for our freedoms. And then he's going to give you a heartwarming talk about what he's been going through a little bit. And
he gets personal.
Very moving, yeah. So, Mr. Engineer, we'll go ahead and we'll key it up and we'll talk about it after.
Play the clip.
As time goes on, dear faithful, I pray that you pray for your priests, that they remain faithful, because I tell you what, it's very easy to start to compromise. Very easy to start to compromise with the world. Well, it's okay just to get along. Why is it so wrong just to get along? No. I will not go along just to get along, not if it means the salvation of your souls is lost. That your freedoms are taken away so you can't educate and inform your children properly. Whether it's the dictator in Washington or the dictator in California, doesn't matter. Many other countries and places, men and women have fought for their faith, regardless of who's at the top. We should not just get along to be free. Father Emil Coppon.
Yeah, he was getting into Father Emil Coppon. That was that Medal of Honor priest that was in World War II that was out there on the battlefield, and he was killed. They just brought his body back. They found it, and we've talked about him.
Also, in my opinion, unelected Joe Biden didn't give him the proper honors that he deserved.
Yeah, you're right. So what you heard there is Father Burford. It's a tearjerker, and it brought me to tears too because I know him personally and I know he's a good man. And there's things that are going on in the society. There's some priests that have come out recently. There have been some articles that where they're gonna get the jab, and because they're looking at it as the greater good, having to be able to board a plane to travel, because a lot of these priests, they're moving around to go say mass here and there. And I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know exactly what he's talking about, but that has to affect him. And then to see the where he's talking about shepherds and pastors that they need to lead their people. And help them save their souls and teach them, because a lot of people are lost. They don't know their faith, and to do the right thing and don't compromise. There's so many takeaways on this. Jess, what's your biggest takeaway on this?
Some of the things that he said that really struck me was, he says, I could have chosen an easier life. I could be a monk and just be contemplating God and praying. He said, but that's not God's will. Not for my life. His will is for me to be a pastor and to lead people. And this guy's he put feet to his faith. This guy actually sued Gavin Newsom. Him and John MacArthur, a Protestant, were really the only pastors in California, a Catholic and a Protestant, that took on the machine, the Democrat machine. So it's not like he was just praying the rosary and doing holy hours secluded in his parish. He went out there. He had to file papers, get a lawyer, and face this beast in a court. And so this priest, once again, he knows what he's talking about. He's telling people to do what he's already done and what he wants to continue to do. Another thing that jumps out at me, the way pastors feed their flock is they got to tell them the truth. You only got 10, 15 minutes in a homily. You've got to catechize them and tell them the truth. And you got to make people holy and bring out the best in them. Another thing that he said that jumped out at me was, about praying for your enemies. Recently, as a result of having studied with Father Ripperger, the last couple of years, and he's always talking about, again, this is so important to drive back demons, is praying for your enemies. So this morning I was dropping off my truck. I got a little fender bender, so I was taking it to the shop this morning, and I passed by this psychic shop down the street from the auto body shop, and instead of thinking bad thoughts about them and having Tourette syndrome in my mind, I said, Lord, I ask you to give everybody in that psychic shop the grace of conversion, Lord. Give them a tenfold blessing in Jesus' name. Father Ripperger says when you do that, you actually cause demons more pain, because demons don't want to hear that you're asking God to bless them. That's like the most painful thing you can do to the enemy. And that's why Christ says in Luke 6, bless those who curse you. There's actually a spiritual warfare component. And this is what this priest said. He says, again, we always hear pray for your enemies, but the theology is a lot deeper than that. And Father Ripperger explained it to me, and it makes sense. Again, people that are diabolically afflicted, when you start saying, Lord, bless this person with a tenfold blessing, the demons that surround them that are vexing and annoying them, it causes these demons pain. They're saying, what? I want to be cursed. I want this guy to curse at me. I want him to be angry. I don't want him to ask God to bless me. So again, he has that same spirit that Father Ripperger has about asking, us to pray for our enemies, just like Jesus did. And he also said that all of us, it doesn't matter what our state in life is, all of us should try to strive for that monk life existence. What does that mean? Heck, even Vatican II got this right. Vatican II says lay people are called to be contemplatives of God in the modern world. What does that mean? It doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be riding a bike, jogging, washing dishes, cutting the grass, driving to work, going to Walgreens. Always thinking about God, thinking about divine things, having your thoughts elevated to the things of heaven, death, judgment, heaven and hell, thinking about that incredible moment where you're going to meet the saints. We have to learn to, this priest, again, the takeaways, he's saying what helps him is he disconnects from the world. Don't always be plugged into the world and social media, and connect with God more than you're connecting with the world. How? He says by having a monk-like existence and being a contemplative. Yep. That's a call to all of us, Ruben. You
got to recharge your batteries. That's so you can stay in the fight. I like that he said, if you're not prayed up, you're going to be thinking just about yourself. And, can you save yourself outside of God's will? And he says, no.
Nope.
We all have our vocation in life. We got to know what that is, and we got to go after it. Listen to Jesus 911.